into the Bro 4 Squad podcast. We're coming at you from Corellia. That's a place, right? We've all been there.
Thing, yeah.
It's a thing. I'm Brian Banner, and we're here to give you guys our spoilers review of Solo, a Star Wars movie. As always, I am Brian Banner. Today we have our legal counsel, Ronnie Cycli, and the mayor himself, Jeff Hornacek. So guys, let's get right into it. As always, we grade all of our movies on our 5 criteria, starting with acting and cast. Cycli, why don't you kick us off? What'd you think of the acting and cast of Solo, a Star Wars movie?
I think I was going in with a lot of fear. There's a lot of expectations to live up to. You know, Han Solo is an iconic character. Lando Calrissian is an iconic character. But Chewie really dominated. He really did the best as the original Chewie. No, I'm just kidding.
Role I've seen Chewie in.
He was authentic.
Guys, this is the most sober we've ever seen Chewie, too.
Oh, yeah, he was. Well, he was sober. He was in basically rehab when he was chained up. He didn't have access to death sticks.
It's true.
I will say this, Donald Glover, I thought he did a great job overall. There were some aspects where I thought he either got lazy or tried too much to be like Billy D. But I think he kind of owned the character. And I honestly thought Emilia Clarke was a little underwhelming to me. I didn't feel like she didn't stretch out a character. She was just kind of playing herself, it seemed like. So not to say she did a bad job. I just didn't, she didn't stand out to me.
Horns.
So I actually felt kind of the opposite about Emilia Clarke. And if she's listening to this, respond to those text messages, please. I thought she was really charming in the role. And I think that she did a really good job of sort of bringing out that side of Han Solo that we've seen occasionally in the original trilogy, but every time we get to see it in this, it was just cool to be like, oh, this is kind of how he became sort of the calloused over scoundrel. And then Woody Harrelson has been it. I love him in everything he's been in. I know Matt Geiger on the pod is obviously a huge fan of White Men Can't Jump.
You're just going to stop at White Men.
At White Men? Yeah, it's just really he basically just plays Woody Harrelson in everything that he's in, but that's awesome. So I really dug him in this movie as well.
I echo a lot of what you guys said. First off, going on the Chewie thing, when he was taking those shots, I could not help but laugh because
double fisting. I loved it.
Yeah, that whole thing was cool. I'm gonna take the low hanging fruit here, guys. Han Solo fucking sucked.
No, he didn't.
He was not good. I
thought he was really good, but I just didn't see him as Han Solo.
Yeah, here's the thing. I couldn't decide whether he was trying to be Harrison Ford or if he was trying to be a new Han Solo, do his own take on it. And I think that was the problem. I would have rathered
and I appreciated that.
Yeah, I would have rathered a bad impression of Harrison Ford more than what I got out of him. And I don't know if that was part of the writing, part of the story, or how much of that was actually him.
I felt like I had such low expectations for his performance that I was pleasantly surprised by his performance. But again, I think I went in expecting nothing but trash out of him, and it wasn't trash. So I felt very better about it coming out.
I was pleased with him.
Yeah. I also didn't like the character of L3.
But what about the acting, though?
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, that robot's going to get some other roles, for sure.
All right, guys, moving right along. Our next category, as always, here on the Bro 4 Squad podcast is story. Horns, let's go to you first on this one. What'd you think of the story?
I'll be brief on this one. I did enjoy the story. It was pretty simplistic. I thought it did a really good job of not taking many liberties. They didn't do anything crazy where you'd be like, well, that's going to be kind of hard to connect to canon for the other movies. But it also filled in some gaps. Another thing that I thought was interesting, and I didn't really realize this till the day after, was the movie itself felt like it was just as much about the ancillary characters as it was Han Solo, even though his name is on the movie. And I actually like that. I like how it wasn't just Han Solo, this is Han Solo, do you get it? It was much more about everyone else who was in his life, or at least equal parts as it was him, and I really appreciated that they did that.
Yeah, I echo that. I really like the fact that they were telling the story of how we got the Han Solo that we get in A New Hope, but they did it not by shoving Han Solo down our throat. They gave it to us by showing all these people around him that helped shape who he is today. Cycli.
They did shove his dice down our throat.
I don't even get me fucking started on the goddamn dice. Cycli.
You know what it is? It's Disney wanting to sell that merchandise.
I bought 6 pairs of them.
That's it. Okay, so this is gonna sound more negative than it is. I don't feel like the movie stretched out the story at all. I thought it was really predictable.
Very predictable.
And part of the frustration of why I don't think there ever needed to be a movie about Han Solo, everything in the movie was everything we already knew based off the originals. It was just those stories being told. Yeah. We know that he won the ship from Lando. We knew he made the Kessel Run. We knew all of these things. It was just seeing it play out. But at the same time, with what Last Jedi had done, I felt like, and obviously all the issues with the direction and that this movie had in production, I think Ron Howard came in to say, look, we're going to play it safe here. We're going to tell a story that people will enjoy. It's not going to break any, it's not going to have a lot of depth to it. It's just going to tell the story. And actually, it worked. It was, like I said, I didn't come out of there being like, wow, I learned so much. It was exactly what I thought. But, I mean, the Darth Maul thing saved it all for me. That was worth it just for that part.
Yeah, and let's just move right into our third category, best scene. Cycly, I mean, I can only assume that's your scene. You're a huge Maul fan.
With Darth Maul since I saw Phantom Menace. I think they really lost an opportunity with Darth Maul in the prequels to have him kind of be the Darth Vader of the originals, be the bad guy the whole time. And so to see him come out, obviously there's been Hornacek and I have been talking about canon with Rebels and that he does play a role in the story. To see that actually coming out on the movie, I mean, I loved that scene because I wasn't expecting it, and I just loved every second of it.
And he also, I think, talked more in his as much in his one scene in Solo as he did in...
No, I think it was definitely more than... Does he even have a line in...
He has one line.
At last we will have our revenge or something like that. Yeah. I think Ray came back to play him too, which is really cool.
Yeah, real quick on the canon thing, I think that's great. I love, which you guys may have not noticed, or if you haven't seen the cartoons, he had the metal legs, which is important to point out as being in canon with the cartoons. Horns, what was your favorite scene?
Yeah, and real quick on that, if you have a theory on how this will fit into canon, please comment below or tweet.
Can I interrupt you really fast? Because there's one thing about that scene that makes no sense. I love that he just pops out the lightsaber for absolutely no reason.
That was so awesome.
Like, what? He doesn't need to. He's not doing. He's like, hey, by the way, check out this new lightsaber I got.
Yeah, I thought that was big. My favorite scene was just Han and Chewie meeting. I had very high expectations for that. That's one of the things that makes me nervous about these prequel movies is some of these things are better just to imagine what they were and not ever see him on screen. But that one actually lived up to the hype. I know, Banner, you were a little mad about the subtitles when Han was speaking Wookiee, but that
was necessary.
Really worked. It was. So that one really played well, I thought. And then I want to give a shout out. I actually didn't enjoy this scene, but I just really related to it. When L3 died and Lando was having a very emotional response to it, it reminded me of when my PlayStation 2 stopped reading my MVP baseball disc, and I realized that I, too, was in love with a machine that had perished.
I mean, that's still fresh. Like, it's been 12 years, and it hasn't changed.
That wound is not healed.
Yeah,
Banner.
I know. We all feel your pain on that one. My favorite scene was just seeing Han Solo flying the Millennium Falcon for the first time. Very well shot, very, very well done. I wasn't a big fan of some of the dialogue in the movie and how he delivered those lines, but everything with him flying the Millennium Falcon for the first time was perfect. Yeah. Impact on pop culture, real quick. I'll go first on this one. I think this is going to have a big impact just because this is now going to be another anthology movie that's been successful, and now they're just going to start... And one of a story that we didn't want. We wanted the story of Rogue One. We didn't want the story of Solo, but it's going to be successful in the box office. And there are positives that we can pull out of this with the Lando, the Darth Maul stuff. So I think we're going to get a lot more of these one-off stories that are away from the Skywalker saga. So I think this is huge, both financially as well as just how many other stories we're going to get. Cycly.
If the story is told, and Horns and I were talking about this, and like you just made the point, if this gets us like what I've heard about the Lando story and then an Obi-Wan story, if those are just individual movies that they don't relate to each other, I don't think this has much of a cultural impact. I have no problem if I never rewatch this movie again. Again, all of this Han stuff we already knew. But if this Han, Lando, Obi-Wan becomes a trilogy and involves Darth Maul and a greater picture, that would be huge. This would be a story I would be so thrilled to see. So it depends on how Disney goes about this. But if this is the path they're going on, sign me up. I'm all aboard.
Horns.
Yeah, I'll just exactly what you guys said. I would have said not much impact till motherfucking Darth Maul showed up. So
awesome.
Boom.
Cycly, you alluded to it a little bit. Rewatchability. If you never see it again, it is what it is.
I mean, like I said, if there's a trilogy based on this and it has an overarching story that involves Darth Maul, then yeah, I will. But if you just tell me to like pop this in by myself, by itself, no, I'm okay.
I would have to agree with that. I mean, I'll probably watch it a few times, but it's not something that I'm going to go back and watch. I'm definitely not. If I'm watching the entire Star Wars saga altogether, I'm definitely not going to watch this as part of that. I'm going to skip over this one, kind of like Thor: Dark World. Horns, rewatchability, real quick.
I'm actually liking this one more. The more I think about it, I have no gripes about this movie. I wasn't blown away by it. I will probably see it one more time in theaters, and if it's ever on TV, you can bet your ass I'm watching till commercial.
You can afford cable. Brag much.
Wow.
Well, I'll steal it from my neighbor, but Jesus,
you must be taking all that Zima money from me and Cycly.
Go get your cut.
We've been the Bro Force Squad podcast. You guys can check us out on Facebook. Give us a like there. On Twitter, @BroForceSquad. Go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube and iTunes pages. Go ahead and give us a review and comment on all of our content there. And don't forget, you can check out all of our content at www.broforcesquad.com. Till next time, I'm the Mad Scientist for the Legal Counsel and the Mayor himself. We'll catch you next time.
You want to borrow my extra pair of Han Solo dice?
I would love one. Yeah.
You can't have it.
Damn it.